Welcome back to Code Hive, the place where we make it work, make it right, and make it fast. So on today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to create a simple table and insert values in that table. So the first thing that you're going to see right after you open up your Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio is this page, this pop-up. So the first thing that you need to do is you just need to connect to a server and you just press connect, and this is where you're going to land. So you'll see all the objects on the Object Explorer. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to go to the new query icon on the top, right? So you're just going to press your new query. And the first thing that you need to do is you need to create a database. So a database basically is where all the tables that you're going to create is going to be stored in, right? So let's get to it. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to say create database, right? And whatever you want to name the database. So for me, I just want to say create tables, right? And to run this, you're just going to highlight everything and you're just going to press execute, and a message should pop up saying that it's been completed. So if you just refresh on the left hand side and you drop down the databases part, you should see the database that you've just created, right? So you can just erase that part and let's get into the creating of the table and inserting of the values. So like I said, the database is just where all the tables are going to be inserted, right? So what you need to do is you need to change from master by the available databases. You need to drop down and you just need to select the database that you want all your tables to be stored in, right? So I just selected that. So I want all my tables to be stored in the create tables, right? So let's jump right to it. So the first table that I just want to create is an employees table, for example. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to say create, right? So create table and the name of the table that you want to create. And then what you're going to do is opening bracket, right? And now you're going to list all the columns that are going to be stored in that specific table. So the first column that I want is the employee ID, right? Which I want the data type to be varchar with a length of 10, not null, and you're going to say primary key, right? So not null basically just means that the column cannot be empty, and primary key, if you still don't understand primary keys and everything, please check out the other video and you'll be able to understand what primary key and foreign keys and all that, what it means. So for now, this is just the basic syntax, right? And then the second column that I want is, for example, the employee name, which I also wanted to be varchar, but with a length of 30 and not null. And then the third column that I want is employee surname, right? And I also want it to be varchar with a length of 30, also not null. And then the last column that I want is date of birth. Date of birth, which will be a data type, and not null. Check out the other video on where I explain in detail the different types of data types. Okay, so this is basically all the information that I want in my table, right? So create table, your table name, and then all the columns that you want in the table. So the column name, the data type, not null, and that's that. And then you specify the primary key. Okay, and if we just run this and we execute, it should say that completed successfully. And if we go to the left hand side and we just refresh and we drop down the databases, and then we drop down at the database that we've just created, and we go to the section where it says tables, we should be able to see the table that you've just created. Okay, so now let us talk about how to insert values into that specific table or any table, right? So I'm going to show you guys two ways in which you can insert data into a table. So the first way that I want to show you guys, right, is it's a simple way, a really simple and fast way. So the first thing that you're going to need to do is have the insert into keyword, right? So insert into, and then what comes next is the table name in which you want to insert the following values. So insert into employees, because we want to insert the data into the employees table. Okay. And then you're going to say values, which afterwards will come all the values that you want to insert into the employees table or the specific table that you are dealing with. Okay, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. Okay, anyway, back to it. So the first one that I want is the employee ID, right? So let's just name it EMP 101, for example. So if you have a varchar or a date, then your data will be inserted into the quotation marks, basically. Okay, so that's why I'm putting those in, so that the values can be inserted in there, right? Because it's varchar and date. Okay, so the next one that I want is Dean. So Dean as the name, Smith as a surname, and the date of birth, we can say 1994, 10, 11. Okay, so basically, this is the first way in which you can insert data into the table. So if we just run this, so let me just run this statement over here, and I say execute, it should say one row affected. So that means it's been inserted. So a way in which you can check what's in the data in the table, check from table, right? You can say select all from, and then the table name. So select all from the table name. So this just is all for saying that you want to select everything in that specific table. Okay, so if we just highlight that and we say execute, then we should be able to see the employee that we have just inserted, right? So that is the first way in which you can insert data or values into a table. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys the second way in which you can do it, right? So the second way is a bit longer, right? But it is more specific. So you first start with your insert into, right? And then employees, right? So insert into, and then the table name. But now what you want to do is after here, you need to specify the columns in the employees table in order. So the first one is the employee ID, and then it's the employee name, and then it's the employee surname, and then it's the date of birth, right? So insert into employees, right? And then all the values, all the columns in the table in order. So employee ID, employee name, employee surname, and date of birth. And then after this, you say values. And then after the values, that's when now you can specify your values. So EMP 102, right? And then the next one that I want is Tando Brown, and let's say 2001 06 13. Okay, and you just close that. And if you just run that statement, right, and then it will say one row affected. And if you want to check from the table, you're going to select all from the employees table, and you're going to execute, and you should be able to see the second employee that we've just added. So that is how you create a table. So creating a table, and I've shown you guys the first way to insert data into the table, or the second way in which you can insert data into the table, as well as how to check the data from the table. So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching.